The NFL draft always tells a story. Tells a story about what the team's plan is, or if they have a plan. So, what did the NFL draft story-wise tell us about the 2025 Eagles? We're going to discuss it. We're going to continue to discuss all the draft selections for the Philadelphia Eagles, what it means going forward, what's next for the Philadelphia Eagles. Also, Phillies about to start a 3-game series against the Nationals. Is it a must-sweep series for our Fightins? We'll discuss that as well. Trending in the AM, we're live. Taking your thoughts and opinions, 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, YouTube and Twitter, you know the drill. Wherever you're watching, please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. Of course, hit subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. Each and every one of those things from you guys. As we continue the march now, the conversation becomes the march to 1,000 subscribers, starting this show out at 512. And the conversation today is going to continue to be about the draft, continue to be about what does the draft story-wise tell about this Philadelphia Eagles team, where they are, what their plan is, and what the future holds for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're also going to talk to Phillies, of course, and everything going on. I feel like a must-sweep series to quiet some of us critics of this Philadelphia Phillies team. I'm sure there's lots of other things, very controversial topics that we'll be put into the comment section. We'll do our best to traverse all of those things today. But, we're going to do what we got to do. Let's get right. Comments are already rolling in, so let's just get right to the comments. The two words that keep coming up with this draft for the Eagles are versatility and physicality. I think that's two very good chapters in the book of the story of the Eagles NFL draft. Rick, and good morning to you. Hope you are well. The Cubs did not get swept by the Phillies, by the way, just so you know. 2 out of 3. Still not bad. But yes, versatility. Positionless football, Rick. That could be a whole chapter on what the draft plan was just on that itself. And I think that's very, very good, astute words right from the get-go from you on the draft. After the second-round pick, you could check the pull-pin tape. I said, last time to wheel and deal. You can feel it going. Yeah, look, there was a lot of trades, and I couldn't even keep track of all the trades back, trades up that Howie did. He made a lot of trades, obviously picked up a lot more draft capital for next year as well. I think that there was a little bit of maybe misdirection or maybe misplanned out situations. I think there were guys that Howie wanted that he didn't get. Maybe some of it was being blocked out by other GMs. Maybe some of it was him just misjudging how players would fall. But all in all, there was a lot of wheeling and dealing. You know how he loves to do that. The draft broke Phil. How did it break me? It didn't break me. It didn't break me at all. The Phillies are still playing. They didn't play last night. It was a very. You notice I didn't put did the Phillies win in the title today, Dobbs. So what are you doing talking on this show? Don't you have 2039 draft prospects to start breaking down film for? Great draft by Howie, except for the fact he blatantly misread the board on the tight end position. Did he? Rick, did he misread the room on the tight end? Because I said on this show last week and the week before that, the Eagles were not drafting a tight end. At least none of the top guys. I said that. I said they're probably pretty content with what they got since, Dallas Goedert. They're pretty set there. And I fully expect in the coming days for Dallas Goedert to be off this team as well. They weren't going to invest heavily in that tight end position. I said that, and I didn't believe in it. Good morning, Duck. How you doing today? Hope you're well. Ty Robinson is a monster. Love the prospect of Ty Robinson. Ty Robinson's going to be a contributor day one. But Ty Robinson tells a story about Jordan Davis and that the fact that they don't think that he can fill in any of the Milton Williams reps. Makuba tells me a story that Sidney Brown is not their guy. The lack of a cornerback tells a story that Keely Ringo is the guy. The lack of a tight end, as Rick says, is they're either going to work it out with Dallas Goedert or roll with Calcaterra, Granson, and Campbell. The draft tells a story about where a team is. Hey, K1, hope you're having a bazoo kind of a day. If the Phillies take 2 or 3 of this series, that would be cool. Just win series. Oh, now you were just to win series. We don't want sweeps anymore. Now we just want series. Yep, almost all the players have insane RAS scores. Very high RAS scores. Lots of position flexibility, all things. But none of them were top 30 visits. We spent a week or two covering every top 30 visit, and then none of the top 30 visits got drafted. That's kind of comical to me. I think this draft will be remembered as Vic Fangio's draft. Love that, Peanut. And I talked about that a little bit on Sunday when I did Sunday brunch with the crew. That this draft does have Vic Fangio's fingerprints all over it. No more round pegs, square holes. Howie Roseman went to Vic Fangio. What do you need? We already have an elite offense. We have an elite defense, but you lost some pieces. What do you need? Vic Fangio said he needs a safety that could play in the slot and be a box defender. And you look at Makuba's, numbers. 1,182 snaps at safety, 803 at slot, 415 as a box defender. I need a guy to put next to Zach Bond that can fill in for Nakobe Dean, but bounce around the defense. You got Jahad Campbell. I need Milton Williams' replacement. He got Ty Robinson, who can also pass rush. He got everything he wanted. And I love to see it. Phil didn't even finish the round. I'm sorry. I'm still in pain, Memphis. My mouth still hurts. If you've ever had a tooth pulled, you know it's a week-long process, and that first day or two is brutal. So, yes, I did cut short, but I went live on Sunday. Where were you on Sunday? Pal Ryland, the edge rusher from Virginia Tech, is going to be an absolute steal of the draft. Pass rush machine. Yeah, hopefully. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. I mean, anybody drafted late in the draft, you don't have high expectations, but you still have expectations. He was a guy. I still have their draft cards up here. Hold on a second. Yeah, he was a guy that could have gone in the 5th round. We got him in the 6th round. 6'3", 258. He's not much of a run blocker. He's a rotational guy at best. Right now, lots of work to do, lots of learning to do. But we got great defensive line coaches, great edge coaches, great defensive coordinator as well, obviously. Stop. We have our impact players. This year was about filling in the cracks and looking to the future, Noobs. And I think they did do that. They got lucky to get 2 bona fide starters immediately in Makuba and Campbell. And they got kind of lucky to be able to get somebody of Ty Robinson's ilk, when they did as well. I broke that first. Yeah, I did crash it. Dude, look, if you've had a tooth pulled, you know what kind of pain I was in. If not, then you have no clue. Fangio was all over Campbell, Makuba, and Robinson. 3 guys who could do multiple roles and play. Absolutely. And I think it's drafting a linebacker in the 1st round, drafting a safety in the 2nd round. That's not Howie evolving. Giving the assistant coaches what they want is Howie evolving. Howie Roseman was always the smartest guy in the room. Howie Roseman had to do things his way or the highway. Now Howie's evolved to, let me listen to my coaches. Let me give my coaches the tools they want and need to succeed. And that's what he did, and that's what he is doing. And I think it's fantastic. Obviously also evolving, drafting a linebacker in the 1st round. Nola back to being Nola, absolutely. That was a fantastic performance by him on Sunday night. Maybe Howie will sign a tight end after team cuts this offseason. Because what the Eagles have a tight end without Goddard. True, without Goddard. Technically, Goddard's still there, but I don't expect him to be there. Now, starting last night at 4 o'clock, Rick, is when free agent signings don't count against comp picks. So we're going to see some movement in free agencies. A couple guys were actually signed last night, not by the Eagles and stuff like that. But then the June 1st, post June 1st cuts start to happen in a little while, a little over a month. So then you'll see more guys get cut. There's a lot of things that still can happen, and there are some depth issues on this Eagles team still. We will get into them today and in the weeks to come. But the tight end room, when you've got A.J. Brown, when you've got Dallas Goedert, when you've got Saquon Barkley, when you've got Jalen Hurts, you can't spend huge on a tight end too. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw it, but this morning, about 15, 20 minutes before the show, George Kittle got a contract extension from the San Francisco 49ers. 4 years, $76 million, $40 million guaranteed. Now, Dallas Goedert's not to George Kittle's level, but he's just a step below. Howie ain't going to spend $40, $50, $60 million on a tight end when he's already spent how much on all the other positional skill players on offense. So they're going to roll with what they got or sign another fringe tight end. I do acknowledge that Howie struggled to read the board, especially on day 2. Absolutely agree. I don't know if he struggled to read the board, or I saw some people say that he kind of got blocked out by other GMs not willing to wheel and deal with him. Take it however you will. But I do think I think the big one, Tibbs, is the 3rd round pick that we traded out of twice. I think when he was at 96, he thought he can trade back to, 101 or 102 and still get Charles Grant. He didn't. Grant went, to the Raiders? I think he misread the board on day 3 for sure. I really do. Where he got lucky on the board on day 1 and day 2, misread it on day 3 for sure. Round 1 and 2, misread it for round 3 big time. I don't want Jordan Davis filling in Milton reps. I want him doing what he's good at. Yeah. Still don't know what to do with Jordan Davis. That's still a huge topic in my mind of what to do with Jordan Davis. Phil, you don't have a tight end. Cope much. What? I don't need to cope. Sweeps are nice and they'll happen. But you said we were sweeping the Cubs. I almost feel like you used the words like guarantee we sweep the Cubs this weekend. I feel like that's what you said. I know you said sweep. I forget whether you used the word guarantee or not. Howie saw that this was a weak draft overall and acted accordingly. Maybe that is what Howie did. Maybe it is. I'm way behind on comments. One of the O-tackles brought in will eventually be groomed to be Lane's replacement. A lot of good talent. There's a lot of developmental talent, Rick. We don't know if it's really going to be good or not, but it's a lot of developmental talent brought in on the offensive line in the draft and in the undrafted free agents. Ty Robinson looks like he can play tight end right now and run people over doing it. Ty Robinson, I brought it up on Sunday's brunch show, did even play fullback a little bit. He had 8 snaps at fullback last year, 7 of which, or in his career, 7 of which resulted in tight end or touchdowns. Good morning, Little G. Hope you are well this morning. I'm so proud of our quarterback today. Look, I know somebody, I figured you or somebody else, Anthony, would bring up the White House situation. I don't want to discuss the White House situation, but I will address the situation. Unfortunately, if I let people discuss it, it will get ugly. I guarantee it. I do not care who went to the White House yesterday. I do not care who did not go to the White House. That is their choice, their decision. If I took a stand one way or another and still cheered them on as players, that's being very hypocritical. So I am going to just say what I feel, which is I don't care. That is their decision to represent whatever side they want to. Sports and politics, Anthony and everybody, needs to be kept separate. This is a sports show, not a politics show. I refuse to let the politics ruin this much more positive type of place and sport and show. I think Ajomo and Robinson will compete for that Milton Williams role. That's going to be. See, the thing is, Ajomo still played almost 400 snaps last year. Milton Williams was over 500. So Ajomo can pick up maybe an extra 100 snaps, but there's still another 400 snap dives that need to be filled in. Can Robinson step in and play 400 snaps immediately next year? Possibly. I'm not understanding drafting a quarterback. Can someone tell me if it's worth it? Because we're a quarterback factory, Peanut. Maybe there's thought that maybe Tanner McKee goes eventually. DTR is not that special of a third string quarterback. It's a developmental thing, getting the kid from Syracuse. That's all. I love the Campbell pick, but not sure he will be ready to start the season. The surgery he got in March is an 8-month recovery. I mean, they're all saying the right things, and even he said the right thing that he didn't just come out and say, yes, I'll be ready. He said, I'll trust the doctors and whatever they have to say. So we'll see on that. Crash from too many gummies. No. Phil how he got over himself, Joe Banner never did. Exactly, News. Exactly what I was getting at. That's how far behind I am on the comments. Recap the draft picks. Silly Goose, we've already done that. I like the quarterback pick as a nice third string because DTR stink. DTR does stink. I think you all know who the Eagles drafted at this point. Howie likes to add, you just want me to say names that I can't pronounce. Howie likes to add quarterbacks to the quarterback factory. He sees upside because that means McKee might be up for sale or DTR. Yeah, exactly. Kyle McCord is really meh. I was unimpressed with his performance while up against better Big Ten competition. Yeah, he doesn't do anything for me whatsoever. What's up, Tony? The Siberian. Cold out in Siberia still for you? I like the tight end Howie invited to minicamp. Malik Carr could be Antonio Gibson. Wow, I didn't even look at the list. I know they released the list of who's going to the rookie minicamp, Tony. I think there's a couple local products on that list as well. But good. I mean, you get a steal like that, get a diamond in the rough like Antonio Gates, that'd be something. Tight end's a crucial position on this team. Pretty sure Goddard was the leading receiver overall in the playoffs this past season. I would have to look that up. How he's going to trick some suckers into training for Tanner McKee, as they will need a new young quarterback to develop. Maybe. I have to go back and look at all the teams that needed a quarterback, who drafted and who didn't draft who. Stop. Whatever. You know what? Whatever. People could say weak draft, but Howie let the talent that was there go by. Who did he let go by, Tony? Did he skip somebody that you wanted? I can't believe the Holland Pierce didn't get drafted, but I'm glad we got him. And I think they gave him, I think he was the highest amount of dollars we gave out as an undrafted free agent. Holland Pierce is one of those guys that could probably make the roster, let alone the practice squad, as an undrafted free agent, as a depth piece on the offensive line, for sure. Not going to White House is dumb. That's an opinion. I don't care about who loves or hates blue or red. I believe exactly. And you know what? No offense, Freddie, and I don't want to get too deep into this stuff. This is trending the AM. Obviously, the White House story is trending. Unfortunately, I can't trust anybody, even my core listeners, to handle this topic in a fair, debatable way. So I'm going to avoid it. But I will say there's going to be a lot of hypocritical Eagles fans that are hating on Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts that are still going to be betting them for touchdown scores, that are still going to be cheering every touchdown. So I bleed midnight green. I don't bleed red or blue. I don't. And I love this comment. I think it's a great way to just cut that topic off as best as we can. Every analyst agrees this was a good draft for edge rushers. Other than that, it was subpar. It was average. Kendall was one of the higher-ranked centers in the draft. Quietly, a really good move in case Jurgens gets banged up and he could play some guard. Stop. At this point in life, I just think you just troll, Rick. I really do. If you smart like Howie, you use third for Pickett and then trade him for a fifth. What? Almost like Hurts doesn't want things to be great again. Oh, my God. Stop. No. I got to start pre-reading comments. I saw that dumb ass that Dallas drafted thought it would be a good idea to talk shit. Oh, yeah. The offensive lineman, Booker, who they drafted in the first round, is excited to go one-on-one with Jalen Carter. I think that boy's going to have a welcome to the NFL moment, Rick, whenever that schedule gets released. And we know that first Eagles-Dallas game, schedule release May 14th. Maybe we'll do a live show for a schedule release party. Maybe, if I don't have a tooth pulled and I don't, wimp out, as you would all say. We Bills fans were so critical of our GM. He called, I heard that the Bills GM called local radio and the 4 people that listen to local radio in Buffalo and bitched and moaned about how he's talked about in the media and fans. Who cares? It's still their choice to go or not, whatever. Exactly. I moved on. Doc. Will Shipley, running back 1. Yeah, no. No. The real problem is you only get to choose red or blue because it's an entire look. Not going to get into it. Do you fear the White House visit? Now, this is something that we could discuss as long as you keep who chose what side out of the conversation. I don't think it will. It could. I don't think it will. And the problem is the fans and the media are pushing this topic far too much. Far too much. And it's going to be talked about. It's going to be something in the locker room. Now, I expect our leader, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley, those that went and didn't go on the leadership board, to address together that, look, our opinions are different, but whatever. We're going to keep it, keep what's important. I hope it does not. I think it will not. Could it? It absolutely could. Sorry, Phil, I'm joking around. Who cares if a player goes? I don't care. Mbao, Tony, you're spot on. I wanted Tate Ratledge. I wanted Marcus Mbao. Those were guys. Jalen Blue went a little sooner than I expected him to go. I think he got drafted a full round before most people thought. They did miss out on Tate Ratledge. He went to Detroit. Marcus Mbao fell to like the 4th or 5th round. That was one I did want, so I will agree. The Jalen Blue one, whatever. Could have drafted a running back, couldn't, whatever. And Braden Swinson wasn't even on my card, so I'm not even sure about him personally. But Mbao was one that I did want, so I won't doubt. I agree with you on that one. Smile Mondon is a good linebacker. He could be considered a steal. He's got some work to do. I think Mondon tells you another story about this Eagles team that Ben Van Summeren's focusing in on fullback going forward, because that 4th, 5th linebacker spot and that linebacker special team spot is going to go to Mondon, and Ben Van Sumeren can focus on fullback now. It won't be long, as both sides are not smart. I'm not a fan of the current administration, but I'm old enough to know a White House visit is still an honor. Look, I'm not going to say whether I would go or not. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. It's a choice. You make it or you don't make it. It is what it is. NFC East drafted well as a whole. They did. And we will slowly over the next couple of weeks break these down. I started looking at them a little bit. I think a little too much hype was made of the Cowboys. They got better, but not that much better. The Giants made smart decisions, but obviously getting Abdul Carter, at 3 is a steal, because I think Abdul Carter becomes the best player in this draft. And the Commanders, they drafted somebody to stop A.J. Brown, and they drafted somebody to block. So they got their offensive line better, and they got somebody to stop our elite wide receivers. The Commanders drafted directly to counterpunch what the Eagles do well. And there's the issue. The fact that Bill GM is preoccupied with fans' opinion tells you all you need to know. Absolutely. Absolutely agree. Would you be in favor for executive order, the tush push? Did he make an executive order joke about that? Mondon is a developmental player, but he will make a name in this league. Another Georgia defensive player. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Giants do well. I'll pull it up real quick. That won't be hard for me to do. It's right next to the Eagles. Abdul Carter with their first pick. The Jackson Dart thing is my concern. Like, are they really going to make Jackson Dart their starting quarterback? Like, is he that much better? I don't think he's going to be anything. Darius Alexander, solid. Cam Scatbo, running back, solid. They got Marcus Mbao, which was a guy I did want. Thomas, does that say? Fedone, and then a cornerback, Corey Black. I'm just looking at a couple of those names, and Mbao is a guy that I definitely wanted on the Eagles. So the Giants did well. The Giants did very well. Well put, Duck. And I would go to meet Biden if he remembers my name. All day, all Bills fans do is call and say, why can't you be more like Eagles? 2-star wide receivers. Look, everybody wants to be the Eagles. Everybody wants to be like the Eagles. Successful. Fan like any president would remember either of our names. Yeah, exactly. Commanders couldn't stop our run game, still won't be able to. Yeah, they did fix some of their problems. Did they fix all their problems? No. But Josh Connerly helps. Trey Amos helps. And that's pretty much it. There'll be 2 day 1 starters probably for the Commanders right away. Yeah, no, you definitely butchered that. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the way peanut that you put that on there. Um, yeah, look, the command. He's going to be a skedaddle doodle daddle doodle. We'll just call him skedaddle doodle. He was a talked about running back in the draft process. So that's something to watch out for. We stopped the run fairly well, maybe not as well as people think, but we do. If Holland Pierce can get the cement out of his feet, you have something. A lot of people are hyped, Dooms, about Holland Pierce. A lot of people are. A lot of people think that he's going to be a player on this team. I mean, undrafted free agent that could have gone as high on some people's boards as fourth or fifth round. So definitely a strong pick right there. Definitely. Eagles still going to win the Super Bowl again this season. Absolutely. And I think when looking at the Eagles' current roster, there are some depth issues, Rick, in certain positions. But if this team can continue to stay healthy, this Eagles team is not just poised, but locked to go right back to the Super Bowl again. And guys, you're watching Trend in the AM right here on the STG Sports Network. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. And please, if you haven't hit subscribe, we started at 512 subscribers, trying to get to 1,000 by kickoff week 1. So please like, share, subscribe. I did them backwards. Like, share, subscribe. Please. I guess I will look up the Eagles mid picks. Thanks. Yep, you do that. I want to try Amos, but getting Makuba feels like. But see, this is the thing, Tony. Howie told you a story by taking Makuba over Amos. Said that we're content with Keely Ringo taking over for Slay. We're not okay with Sidney Brown taking over for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That's the story that these two moves, one made, one not made, tells me. And I think a lot of what happened on Thursday, Friday, Saturday tells you these stories. Linebacker, right guard, not drafting Marcus Mbao or Tate Ratledge tells me Tyler Steen is the guy right now. Tells me that Sidney Brown's not the guy. That they're unsure of Nakobe Dean going forward. Yeah, it's something, we'll just say. Because you got to stand up for something, I guess. Don't sleep on Cameron Williams, dude's an absolute beast. Struggled a bit in college playoff, but that dude was a steal, going to be Lane's eventual replacement. Bank it. There are a bunch of guys, I guess, that in theory could be his replacement. But no one is set to be his replacement yet. All these names, Rick, are 2 years away from being ready for NFL action. I don't know what his handicap is. Strikes me as a guy that probably swings the club pretty well, though. Saquon. I'll set the over-under K1 at 12.5 as handicap. And I think I'll take the under. I bet you he's I'm gonna say he's an 11. Tyler Steen will have a great season as Mekhi Becton just had. I hope so. But I think, Rick, you say he will. I say he hopes. I hope so. Howie's telling us he has faith he can. So will, can, maybe, who knows? Howie's saying he can by not addressing the position. Other than grabbing that developmental piece from the Houston in that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade, he hasn't addressed guard. It tells me Tyler Steen's the guy. That's the thing. Drafts tell a story when you have a good GM. Bad GMs, I mean, they just draft whatever and make mistakes all the time. A good GM like Howie Roseman, the draft tells a story. And every one of these picks tells us something about somebody that's already on the roster. So Groom Johnson's replacement the next 2 seasons, just like that. Yeah, exactly. That We don't know. It could be any of these guys, Rick, that were brought in. There's a couple candidates for that role. They'll all enroll in Stoutland University. Stout will pick the best two, and the best two will be groomed over the next 2 years. And somebody will step in. I'm glad the Eagles were able to use 6th-round picks in consecutive years to get 2 O-line starters from the top O-line in 2023 college football. Are you talking about Michigan? Is that a Michigan comment? I bet you that's a Michigan comment, right? Didn't we draft somebody from Michigan? Howie's not done dealing. He's never done dealing. Howie's not done dealing. He is still trying to trade Dallas Goedert, obviously. He still might be trying to trade Jordan Davis. He's got till Thursday to figure out what to do with Jordan Davis's 5th-year option. Now, they declined Jahan Dotson's a while ago. But Howie's still trying to make moves. Howie still wants to improve this team. Now, I'm saying no cornerback draft. Well, they did draft one, but a developmental one. No right guard drafted. Tells us they're content. Or it tells us that Howie's got a trick up his sleeve and that there's a player he's looking to trade to bring in here. So there's still work to be done. That's why I don't grade an offseason or predict a record until the season's ready to start, until we know who the 53-man roster is. Drew Kendall, the center we drafted from Boston College, can slide out to guard if need be. Heard a few people say that. Hinton and Keegan. Yeah, we got a little bit of a Michigan flair going along the offensive line. Hinton from Michigan is a great addition to the O-line. Double Mac. Is that what we're going to call him? We call him Double Mac? Big Mac? Mac McWilliam, UCF cornerback. A little small. Little undersized. But he's not going to challenge Keely Ringo day one for that outside cornerback position. If anything, the only thing you can say is if they're not set on Keely Ringo, then maybe Makuba slides to the slot and Cooper DeJean slides outside. I doubt that. Actually, Vic Fangio likes to play 3 safeties at times on the field. But at this point, Keely Ringo is that guy. 17-0, Davey. What's up, my man? Good morning to you. Mac will be a special teams guy. He will be. Now, can he develop into an outside guy or a slot guy? Maybe down the line. But if all things go to plan and Keely and Q-Ball and Coop are locked as starting 3, cornerbacks, and they're all young, so they'll be here for a few years, Mac, Big Mac, Double Mac will just be a depth piece on this team for the next 3 years. And then we'll see where we're at. They were calling him Double Mac during the draft. I don't know if that's official. Okay. Yeah, a lot of new nicknames that we got to come up with here. Jahad Campbell, Ty Robinson, Cameron Williams, HER might be steals. Well, I'm hoping Jahad Campbell's the steal that we all say. I do. There's a lot of hype on this kid, Tony. A lot of hype. But again, with great hype also comes the question. Why was this guy a perennial top 10, 12 pick, maybe top 15? Why was he there at 31? That is my question. Obviously, you have the injury issue, their injury concern. But at his skill set, at his pedigree, how is he still there at 31? We tried to trade up to, I think they said 22 and 24 to get him. They tried to trade for him for an hour, and he kept falling and falling and falling. There's a Howie mistake, thinking that he had to get up to 30 or 22 to get him. He only had to go up to 31 to get him. Only 8 home games to get at the Link 3 years running. Disappointing, Davey. Disappointing for sure. I honestly think Double Mac was bought in to be Avonte Maddox's replacement / punt return. They have a couple guys that can punt return, Tony, on this team. He was, an Avonte Maddox, kind of replacement, a guy that could do a little bit of everything. He's not quite talented or ready enough, but neither was Avonte Maddox still when he was here. So that's that. So, yeah, he's your Avonte Maddox replacement at this point. Let me look at the depth chart. Where does he fall? Trying to read this depth chart. It's a little too small for my eyes. He's listed right now as the backup slot guy behind Cooper DeJean at this point. So he's a second stringer at this point already on the team. So, yeah. Just so long as Double Mac doesn't end up like Zach McPherson. Well, yeah. Zach McPherson was a guy I did have some hype and hope for, K1. Unfortunately, the injury bug got him. Tight end is an absolute glaring need if they let Dallas Goedert go. Look, it is, but it isn't. I mean, just think about it this way, Rick. What was our record when Dallas Goedert was out the last couple of years? It wasn't that bad. I'm no Grand Calcaterra fan, but I think the trio of Calcaterra, of Harrison Bryant, of Kylan Granson, maybe E.J. Jenkins, maybe, I think that's good enough. As long as A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith stay healthy, as long as Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley continue to have the success that they've had, I think it's fine. Obviously, Dallas Goedert's a huge talent, but he's an expensive, older, talent, and doesn't fit the grand scheme of what the Eagles are doing. So, yeah. Oh, I'm getting all verklempt here. Can't clear my throat. Let's take some time to acknowledge Little G calling it consecutive years with Alabama, Georgia, and Michigan draft picks. Look, Howie don't mess around with small schools anymore in the early rounds. If you're not an SEC, Big Ten, if you're not a major program, he don't want you on the team. He wants winners from big programs on this team. Campbell is a dog. I think he could flourish in the system. I think every single one of these top defensive players, the only way that they're going to flourish, though, is if they 100% from day one buy into Vic Fangio and what Vic Fangio says. Someone like Bryce Huff didn't buy into Vic Fangio, and he struggled. It's all about a young guy listening and willing to learn and grow from one of the greats of all time in Vic Fangio. And we'll see how that goes. He will be a star. I love his personality. I agree. Barkley's the GOAT. What's up, Bruce Bryce Harper? Hope you're well. Campbell was available at 31 because of injury concern, but same was said about Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens as well. He was drafted and worked out extremely. Exactly. Look, there is an injury concern, and I'm fine with that. That's why I would have been fine with them drafting Kevin Winston as well, despite injury concerns. Look, extreme talent. See, the thing with the Eagles is, if Jahad Campbell is injured and doesn't pan out at pick 31, no big deal. It's not going to be the end of this Super Bowl run for the Eagles. The Eagles have the ability to swing and miss right now. No, not for long, but they can. Go over our linebacker depth and Jahad now. So the linebacker depth of the Eagles right now, you got Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean are technically listed as your starters, with Jahad Campbell and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. as your backups, and Dallas Gant and Smile Mondon Jr. as your third stringers. They're your inside guys right now. Obviously, on your edges, you got Hunt and Nolan Smith and stuff like that. But you really only run two linebackers, interior linebackers, and that's who you got. Bond, Dean, Jahad Campbell, Trot Jr., and then Smile Mondon. The Eagles brought in Maxon Hook, the safety from Toledo. Yes, exactly. I brought this up on Sunday, Rick. Very nice to bring in a guy, and he could be a player. Sounds like he could be a player in time. Practice squad or probably at first, but he could be a player. But they brought in a couple Toledo guys as undrafted free agents. I think there's now 3 or 4 Toledo guys on this team. So that's good. And taking care of Quinion like that's nice. Phil, did you sort the rat infestation problem at the what? The rat? What? Sirianni is going to go back to the wide receiver centric offense now that the OC is his boy. Maybe, maybe not. I don't think they're going to go away from Saquon Barkley. Maybe they go to him a little less, more to preserve him. But they're still going to heavily feature. No, it's not true. I feel Makuba can be a star and Ty Robinson could be a star too. Yeah, Makuba's going to start day one. Absolutely. And Ty Robinson's an interesting cat. Or should I say Husker? Very, very interesting Husker. He's going to have a major role on this team right away. That's right, 57 more. Or, in my opinion, 478 to go. But what's up, Mitchie Poo? Hope you're well. Yeah. He really will. He really will. Phil's safety was a huge need, but at 2, I see you got Makuba. Yes, Makuba. Why is it spelled Makuba? Makuba and pronounced Makuba? I don't know. We drafted Mondin too, and he could be good. He's a little bit more developmental. He's not ready to step in and play day one, in my opinion, Bruce. But what do I know? But yeah, Lance Dixon, linebacker from Toledo. Yeah, I knew there was another one that we brought in. I'm low key excited about Josh. Don't call me Uche. Yeah, I like him and Oladejo. I think the lack of defensive edge. There's another story that was told. Jalex Hunt, Nolan Smith, Bryce Huff, Uche, Ojulari. They're very content with their 5-6-man rotation on the outside. Hence why they did not go out and draft one of the top guys. There were a few guys they could have drafted. They chose not to. So that tells a story. Ty Robinson looks like what they wanted Jordan Davis to be. Yeah. And I don't want to give up on Jordan Davis. I like Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is better than we give him credit for. Jordan Davis just needs to find a way to be on the field 5 to 10 more plays a game. He's never going to pop stat sheet-wise, even if he plays 800 snaps. But they need a little bit more out of him. Ty Robinson, if he develops like we think he can, will eventually replace Jordan Davis on this defensive line. Ship your pizza to Buffalo. No, thank you. Ty Robinson, Milton Williams 2.0. That's what they hope. One constant, I think all draft picks except one, they were already teammates or roommates before. Were they? Interesting. Again, there's buttons there. I love the Ty Robinson pick. Maybe the sneakiest pick of the draft. Maybe. I think Jihad Campbell is because I think Jihad Campbell is going to potentially, if healthy, and good morning, Big Al, if healthy, I think Jihad Campbell has the potential. I'm not saying he will be, the potential to be right up there with Seth Joyner, Jeremiah Trotter as the greatest linebackers in Eagles history. I truly believe that. Truly believe that. I need to try. There ain't no problem coming up with content doing this. Phil struggling with pronunciation, Makuba. It's Makuba. Somebody explain that to me. Unless they purposely explain it to me the wrong way, just so I could say it wrong. So I trust Howie as I feel he's the best GM. Yeah, he's building to fill holes, starting safety, starting linebacker, the Milton Williams role. But he's also building developmental talent for the future. Yeah. Even the Toledo pick was a former teammate on the team. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. Linebacker are one of the foundations of Uncle Vic's defense. Linebacker and positionless safeties. Something like Makuba or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Guys that be all over the place. Does Makuba getting drafted, does that eliminate Justin Simmons? Probably in my mind. Some mid-team will overpay Davis. And that's why you kind of got to move on from him or try to trade him so that you don't have to make that decision. Ty Robinson, out of what university? Nebraska. He's a Cornhusker. So, yeah. Nebraska, yeah. Anyway, Pal Ryland steal the draft. Maybe. He's going to have an opportunity to beat out the Uches of the world, the old Lowrys of the world, etc., the Bryce Huffs of the world. Yeah, we can put the Simmons talk to bed. I've wanted to put it to bed since last year when all the talk was nonstop about him and he never came here. I want to put it to bed. Now, last night, 4 o'clock comes. Now, signees don't count against comp picks. So you can go out there and sign free agents now again without losing free or draft picks in the future. But I'd be shocked if Justin Simmons was brought in here now. I would. What's up, Mr. Steven Fuentes? I went back and watched the Ohio State versus Texas semifinal game to get a better understanding of Makuba. It was a big part of shutting down the high-scoring Ohio State offense. Solid pick. Look at that. Steven Fuentes doing extra research on the Eagles here. Love to see it. Look, I think he could be a very, very, very good player for this Eagles team. He's already better than Sidney Brown. Sorry. I've not been high on Sidney Brown as a starting safety. This draft pick basically eliminates that problem. Now, maybe Sid can prove us wrong and steal the job from Makuba. And in that case, maybe Makuba goes to the slot and Cooper DeJean outside. I don't know. You got a lot of flexibility now in the secondary. A lot of young, flexible, interchangeable pieces in the secondary, which is what Vic Fangio wants. And it's what Howie Roseman gave him. We have a very good quarterback. I mean, can Keely Ringo do what they want him to do? That's the big question. I love the fact this defense is extremely fast now. Fast, Tony. And I love seeing you comment all show long. Thank you very much for hanging in here today. Fast and young. Let me pull this sheet up again here. Trying to figure out who the oldest player on our defense is now. Who's the oldest player on our defense? Those 26-year-olds like Uche and Ojulari? Are they the oldest guys on our defense now? I'm looking at this here. Sidney Brown, Reed Blankenship, maybe he's like 25. Adoree Jackson, he's the oldest one now. Adoree Jackson is your oldest guy on the defense now. Outside of that, everybody's pretty young. Let's draft anyone named Tyler next year so the Cowboys get confused. Yeah. Let's just continue to screw with the Cowboys. That's all that matters. Bruce, you asked Philly. Phillies are always on the agenda, my man. Obviously, the Eagles in the draft are the hot topic. The Phillies start what I feel, Bruce, is a must sweep, not win, sweep series against the Nationals tonight. So you ask your Phillies questions away. I love to mix the Phillies into the conversation. We can talk Sixers. We can talk Flyers. We can talk anything. Anything that you want. So ask away. And while you're typing that in, guys, remember, please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Let me see where we're at. We started at 512 subscribers. We are still at 512 subscribers. We are at 15 likes on this show today. Should be around 18 or 19 at least based off of the viewership so far. So if you haven't already, guys, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe, guys. Phil, do you feel Thompson is going to get fired? Do you feel Nola can be good again? Well, let's go counter. First, Nola pitched very well on Sunday. Best game all year long so far. So that was fantastic to see, and I think he'll be fine, big picture. I do think Rob Thompson could get fired if things continue to pan out the way they are, which is mediocrity. If June 1st comes around and we're a 500 team or below, I think he could get fired. I think he should get fired right now. I think he could get fired if we're at 500 or below come June 1st. Lane Johnson's 35. I know. I was talking about the defense being young and fast, but yes, Lane Johnson is still the senior member of this Philadelphia Eagles team. Probably by a long shot too, right? I don't think anybody else is over 32 on the team. So, yeah, I do feel old about that, though. Greg Cassell was saying that he was told by a few defensive coordinators that Fangio likes keeping the safety mid and high as the umbrella. That way they can support the cornerbacks and linebackers there to support the quarterbacks and O-line. Yeah, look, he likes everybody to be able to help out. He likes all these interchangeable parts, basically. Phils need to win at least 4 of the 6 on this homestand. Honestly, Chet, 5 out of 6. It's the Nationals and the Diamondbacks? I forget who the other team. I think it's the Diamondbacks. I want to see 5. I want to see a sweep against the Nationals. Then 2 out of 3. That's my opinion, chat. Good morning, Reality Check. How you doing? Hope you're well. I love the Phillies, but I'm very mad that they are not doing well because we have so many superstars. Look, I saw somebody post something on Twitter this morning, Bruce. That's where they stand statistically against the league in runs, home runs, on base percentage, all the key offensive stats. And they're middle of the pack or worse in pretty much everything except for on base percentage. And yeah, the offense needs, like, I know the bullpen stinks because Dave Dombrowski built a terrible bullpen. Well, they spent a lot of money on the offense, Bruce. They got to do better. He's nice, but not doing a good job again. And that's the key right there. You put the third to last word there again. This is not the first rodeo with Rob Thompson struggling to get this team. When do we get to fire Topper? Oh, my God. It was exhausting doing the fire Daryl Morey thing. I'm glad they announced it right away that he wasn't getting fired. I agree this week as we must win dominant this homestand or we have big trouble. If we go out, Bruce, you want to know if Rob Thompson gets fired? If the Phillies go out and lose 4 out of 6 on this homestand, there are going to be some major talk, not just on this show, about that, for sure. Hopefully the Phillies aren't smelling themselves since they won against the Cubs. They need to be hungry. Absolutely. Look, it was a nice win on Sunday. I like that. I think the win on Sunday was more important, I guess, than the offensive 10-run explosion on Saturday, Big Al. I know Saturday ended a losing streak, but that Sunday game, because it got Aaron Nola was very important. Phil is the Shador Sanders of sports talk. How am I Shador Sanders? I know I'm, not valued by the masses as highly as I think I'm valued. I think I'm a first-round talent. Y'all think I'm a fifth-rounder or sixth-rounder. But, whatever. I didn't get it. I'm not getting prank called that I was, getting the bump up to the big chair, taking over for Ty Johnson on 97.5. I'm not getting that phone call. I don't think I deserve that phone call either. So I don't think I'm Sanders. Now, I do think there's a conversation to be had that the steal of the draft, y'all have heard me say, I think Shador Sanders is going to be a big bust in the NFL. But I think there's an argument to be made that he has the potential to be the biggest steal of this NFL draft class. Those shorts with you looking like Benedict and Monk. It's just my hoodie pulled up. It's now summertime, springtime. I'm not going to be wearing as many hoodies now. I love a hoodie. I love a hoodie pulled up over my head. It's like my security blanket. It just makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel safe. So how do we feel about the Browns being told to draft Sanders to save it? Look, we didn't talk about it much, if at all, on Sunday. We haven't talked about it yet here on this show. The whole Shador Sanders situation, from falling in the draft as far as he did, to so many quarterback-needy teams passing on him, to the prank phone call, to the fact that his ego was just insane right away. Like, it's something. It really, really, really is something. And I don't even know how to wrap my head around it, honestly. The arm slot with the curveball was exactly the same as Nola's sinker this time around. I really wish Thompson would skip one of his starts every now and then if he ain't feeling right. Yeah, I wouldn't be against all starting pitchers, Nooms, occasionally having starts skipped just to make sure they're fresh for the playoffs. But I guess this team's got to make the playoffs first, right? Because you go to your interviews calling the GM's baby and drinking Lil John Goblet. What? Phil did poorly in his interviews. He couldn't pronounce names. That's true. That is true. When John Gruden told me to call out a play, when he wanted to hear my snap count, and I didn't say spider wide banana right. I didn't interview well. My RAS score also wasn't very high. I just want to shout out Ty Johnson. I know some people like Tyrone. Some people don't like Tyrone. But he was put in a tough spot. Not the famous name like Mike Missinelli to try to compete at first with John Marks and Ike Reese. And just in general, 97.5 is never going to beat WIP in the ratings. He basically probably got laid off because they were losing in the ratings again. Who's going to take over the afternoon airways? I don't know. Honestly, I don't care. But I know they did away with the name Best Damn Sports Show. I do know that. They just called it afternoon show yesterday on 97.5. But shout out to Tyrone. I give him credit. Like he said in his little YouTube video last night, look, he had a good run, 7 years. Doesn't regret anything he did. It was a dream job. Drive time on the second biggest sports talk radio station in Philadelphia. Who wouldn't want that job? He did the Russell quarterback thing where he didn't prep for interviews. Look, Shedeur Sanders didn't think he had to do anything. Shedeur Sanders thought he was above everybody. Shedeur Sanders thought he was the best quarterback in the draft, and he might turn out to be it. Might have been a little staged, but I'm sure you guys have all seen the video. I don't know if it was ESPN, NFL Network, who put it out there, but of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders working out on the field together. And Sanders is goofing around trying let's lay down a rap or whatever. And Cam Ward's like, nah, I'm good. And he's like, don't you have any hobbies? Cam Ward's like, yeah, football. Football is my hobby. And yeah. I don't want them not to have hobbies. I don't want them to not have outside football interests. But when you're a young kid, you got to be focused on what's the important things. Sanders isn't. Sanders living off of fame and fortune versus working to earn his own fame and fortune. Shiloh fired his dad and picked up Drew Rosenhaus. I think Shedeur should do the same. Yeah, I kind of feel like the Sanders boys, Shedeur and Shiloh, are very similar to the Ball family with LaMelo and Lonzo and what was the other one? Lorenzo? No. I don't know. Lorenzo. I forget what the third brother's name was. And their dad, LeVar Ball, controlling their life at first. And then once they got away from him, their images cleaned up a little bit and they got better. Except for the middle kid who was not that good of a basketball player anyway. But you kind of got to break away from the shadow of your father sometimes. I think the Eagles were about to draft Sanders. They were. I really, truly believe those rumors, Tony. Truly believe it. And I think if he was there and the Browns didn't trade up, that would have been a Howie move. Stick him in our locker room. He would have grown up really fast being a part of the Eagles. The leadership on this team would not have accepted his attitude, distractions, whatnot. But honestly, going as far as he did into the 6th round, he's already still the best quarterback on the Cleveland Browns. He's probably the front runner, in my opinion, to start for the Cleveland Browns, even though he should sit. So the Cleveland Browns theoretically got their starting quarterback of the future in the 6th round of the draft, which is crazy. The draft isn't as fun, I noticed, because the new players already got millions. They were not as excited. I thought the suits were a little tamer than normal. I did think that not as many players, top players, show up to the draft, anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's something into that. Maybe. How could Deion Sanders' kid not be an entitled person? I think you're right on that. Oh man. You're not. I love this. I think you're right. I really do. Being on the Eagles would have truly frustrated Shedeur because there's no pathway to being the starting quarterback here. He would run his contract or hope to be traded. Yeah, he would basically be a guy. If Howie would have drafted him, Duck, he would have been drafting him to flip him. And a guy with a first round, second round talent, drafted in the 6th round, could have easily been flipped for a 3rd rounder if he plays nice for a year. In theory. Howie Roseman wasn't considering drafting him to be a long-term answer on this team. He was considering drafting him as a trade chip, plain and simple. Dylan Gabriel who was he? You know my lack of college football knowledge. Don't even know who Dylan Gabriel is. Anyway, guys, while K1 tells me who he is, it's the top of the hour, and you're watching Trend in the AM, guys. Again, like, share, subscribe. We are talking about the draft. We're talking about the Eagles. What the story of the draft says about the Eagles. Slowly, the Phillies are creeping into the conversation here today, which is good. So Phillies are on the table too. If anybody wants to talk NBA playoffs, haven't paid close attention, but whatever. And tonight live, 6 p.m., Fairway to Heaven is back. We're talking CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, and why Jake Knapp is going to win his second PGA Tour golf event this week, and I'm going to get into that tonight, 6 p.m. with Jason Sullivan, Steven Fuentes, and myself. So, guys, don't miss that as well. Gabriel's the quarterback the Browns drafted before. Oh, gotcha. Duh. I forgot they drafted somebody before him. That's right. Better physicals prospect, but Shador has the decision making. Sanders, I think, is going to be at some point, if not week one, at some point, he is going to be the starter of the Browns this year. Who else is on the Browns? Kenny Pickett. Who else did the Browns pick at quarterback this year? They've won Kenny Pickett and somebody else on the Browns. So yeah, he's going to be the starter this year. But the baggage is something. It's huge, the lack of baggage. Shador Sanders would have got his Maybach Benz stolen in Philly. I still love that. I still love that A.J. Brown got his car stolen and then recovered so quickly. Flacco is part of that quarterback room as well. That's right. The quarterback room is very, very interesting. I almost want to hold on a second. NFL, Cleveland Browns, got to bring up their depth chart. I want to see how ESPN has their depth chart listed right now for quarterbacks. Right now, the quarterback they still have Deshaun Watson listed there, even though it's not him. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, then Dylan Gabriel, then Shador Sanders. So they got a very interesting. Deshaun Watson better not be getting in the ears of Shador Sanders. Hopefully Sanders doesn't learn anything from Deshaun Watson. Hopefully Deshaun Watson's not even in the locker room. It was not stolen in Philly. It was stolen in Haddonfield. True. Potatoes. But yeah, true. I see all three of us bet now. Oh, did we? I didn't even notice. I shared out all your bets, but I didn't even look at them all. Yes, I love Jake Knapp this week. I'm going to try to start doing some shorts, Steven, golf-wise. So don't know if you caught my little short video there. But yes, Jake Knapp is winning this week. Feel it. Pickett will be MVP, or Flacco will do enough to make them mid. Look. Yeah. Pickett will probably be traded before the beginning of the season. Poor Kenny Pickett. No, never mind. Let me change that. No, poor Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett got his Super Bowl ring. He don't care. He got his Super Bowl ring, and he's still playing backup quarterback in the NFL, making a few $1 million a year. I think Kenny Pickett's life is just fine, right? Deshaun Watson's not playing this year, right? I've pretty much written him off on this team, especially with the GM saying it was a big mistake. He's still listed on their roster, but he's not playing, right? I'm pretty sure about that. I don't know who's got the worst quarterback situation in the NFL now at this point. The Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers still have an atrocious quarterback room. The Giants are still in. Who's got the worst quarterback situation in the NFL at this point? The Saints? Maybe. The Raiders? Maybe. There's a bad quarterback situation. And that's why, no offense to Rick, I know Rick thinks he's the next coming to Tom Brady. But that's why I'm still shocked that Tanner McKee is still on the Philadelphia Eagles. It's pretty pathetic if at this point you're begging for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers stinks. He's washed, and he's the biggest asshole in sports. But if your season savior is hanging on the hinges of Aaron Rodgers deciding to play, damn. The guy learned how to steal cars in Philly University. A lot of cars stolen in that area. Camden County Community College kid. Yeah, but they fully guaranteed his money. Browns are the worst. Yeah. But we got to be getting close to the end of his fully guaranteed contract, right? That was the 21 off season. Yeah, I think he signed a 5-year deal. So this would be his last year of the deal. Kenny Pickett got a Super Bowl ring and beat Dallas all in the same season. Not too shabby for a kid that grew up an Eagles fan. And he's made a bunch of money. Dude, exactly. Like, for a second, I was going to say I felt bad for him. Then I caught myself. I'm like, yeah, no. I don't feel bad. Not at all. Howie won't trade McKee. He knows what he has there. A huge trade chip. Huge trade chip. Saints have worse quarterback situation and will be picking at one next year. Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Eagles, if I'm Howie Roseman, I'm calling the Saints every single day until they answer, to fix their situation. It's so bad that the rookie they drafted, Tyler Show, is listed as Derek Carr's listed as their starter, but he's out for the year. Show, Rattler, and Hayner, that's the starting three quarterbacks there in New Orleans, Jonathan. Good morning to you, Jonathan. Hope you're well today. It's pretty Shuck. Who's Shuck? How am I saying? What am I saying? Shuck. What am I pronouncing wrong? Which quarterback? Anyway, McKee is a second, third round pick just sitting in the bank right now. Yeah, or a trade chip to move up, so to speak, in a draft like to flip a draft pick to get a higher pick, something like that. He would have used him as a trade chip this year. He knows if Hurts gets injured, that we will still. Oh, Tyler. Okay. It's Tyler Shuck. Now I don't know if to believe you or not. You said I was mispronouncing so many names. I've been going off of what you guys tell me. But anyway. Wait, whose car? A.J. Brown's car was stolen last week from his house. And they did catch the guy. The joke was that Big Dom did it. But really, I think it was just the GPS tracker in the car. His Maybach or whatever. I don't even know what they are. Someone said a Mercedes version of a Rolls Royce. I don't know. But A.J. Brown's car was stolen last week. That's how you pronounce the quarterback drafted by the Saints. Gotcha. Shuck. I would not have known that. Tyler. How's that pronounced Shuck? Tyler Shuck. Like, what the hell goes on with these countries on how they pronounce names? Seriously. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. I'm tired as too. Terrible night's sleep last night. Mouth still hurts. Mouth is still hurting, guys. People in New England thought Brady was just a backup 6-rounder who'd never play. Dude, seriously, if you're trolling, great. But if you're not trolling and you truly believe this, you are insane. Love you, Rick. But literally insane for even slightly believing this. Slightly believing this makes you insane. Literally. But you're all entitled to your opinion. I'm just going to tell you your opinion, Trump. His fentanyl dealer wouldn't accept the offer. Shuck is so dumb he can't pronounce his own name properly. Really? Is that right? Then great. That means a first. Yeah, exactly. Then we can just trade him for a first rounder, right? Yeah, exactly. There's no scenario. None. Where he's a first. That he's the next Tom Brady. It's just common. Just straight comedy from Rick right there. All right, so where do we stand? What happens with Dallas Goedert? What are the weaknesses of this team going forward? That's things we're going to continue to dive in as this week goes on. Obviously, we'll continue to look at the rest of the NFC East as well as this week goes on. The Maybach isn't even a down on the shipment from what? The Maybach isn't even a down on the shipment from Chinexico. What? It just means when Hurts tear. Why are you even contemplating saying this? Why? Just, you always say, if you speak it, you're speaking it into existence. When I say the Phillies aren't good, I'm being negative, and I'm going to bring bad things to it. You saying this is bringing a bad thing into the environment, Rick. First, okay? You're predicting something bad will happen. This is worse than me saying the Phillies won't win the World Series. And you saying I'm being negative about it and that we get what we wish for. You are going to get what you wish for. And then you're going to realize that Tanner McKee ain't the guy. You're literally predicting your Super Bowl MVP quarterback to tear his ACL. and you're predicting he's going to do it, is bringing that negative energy you hate being brought into the Phillies conversation. You're going to will this into existence. But see, here's the thing. You're not predicting it. This is the same scenario when I say the Phillies won't win the World Series, Rick. And you tell me I'm bringing negative energy that's going to, negative karma that's going to come back and, say negative things will happen. Well, you're saying negative things. Negative things are going to happen. McKee processes the information quickly and delivers it quickly to make up for his other shortcomings. Name a quarterback that doesn't get a season-ending injury. Whatever. I'm not predicting it. I'm not thinking it. I'm not preparing for him to have a season-ending injury. And I definitely don't think we win the Super Bowl with Tanner McKee. Not triggered. Just pissed off by the double standards that Rick has. We're not allowed to bring negativity energy to the Phillies conversation because it brings negativity and negative energy to the Phillies. And when the Phillies lose, it's our fault that they lose because we're bringing the negative thought process out. Rick's bringing negative thought process out on our Super Bowl winning MVP quarterback. And that's okay. Sanders doesn't use any drugs or drink any alcohol. His bad boy act is fake. He's a square choir boy. Maybe he is. I did kind of feel a vibe, mister, when watching him in his home. A little fakeness to him in general. That he was just playing. Maybe a little immaturity with the way he's playing. No, I'm a huge Phillies fan. And I just got to be prepared that they're going to lose again. But you're saying I can't do that? But you can be prepared about being negative about Hurts? Just ask him. I'm asking why there's a double standard there between the Phillies and my thoughts and Jalen Hurts and your thoughts. Yeah. Phil is bringing in the early 2Ks and peacocking. What? Phil is bringing in the early 2Ks and peacocking and bring the neg back. What? Sorry, I'm not following that line there. Phil is bringing in the early 2Ks and peacocking and bring the negative. What? I'm missing that train of thought right there. I apologize. Anyway, we're getting to the final 15 minutes, and yes, I'm triggered. Yes, I'm a little annoyed. You're negative about Jalen Hurts all the time getting injured because of your Tanner McKee hype. I don't have a problem with us having a backup option. I also understand that no team in the NFL loses their starting quarterback for the year and wins the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. Tanner McKee is not Tom Brady. Tanner McKee has done nothing to prove he's Tom Brady. You're not being negative about Hurts, but you're being negative by bringing in the theory that an injury. You're predicting an injury versus something else. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's a reference to an old MTV show about dating or picking up women. Okay, yeah, I was never really much of a MTV guy. Yeah, Foles. Okay, so we got one scenario in the history. Okay, fine. Every quarterback gets injured at some point, and Hurts has been injured multiple times already. And what's our record when our quarterback gets hurt? Not very good, Rick. Okay? I'm still trying to figure out the MTV thing, though, but don't get it. Not sure. Probably the last time I watched MTV when like Real World was like in its second season or something like that. Probably the last time I cared about MTV, like 1994 or something like that. Anyway, off the Tanner McKee, off it, off that conversation. Not even engaging in that conversation. Tanner McKee has a much better chance at getting traded than ever winning a Super Bowl as a starter. Real World was a visionary. I still remember the last season I was really into before I lost interest in it was Miami season. But that I don't know if it was the first season or the second season. with the first openly gay person on the show there. I think the guy ended up committing suicide after the show years later. It was like first or second season of the show. I was locked solid in that. Like I was hooked. Couldn't get enough of it. It was definitely a visionary concept at the time. And it spawned off so much road rules and obviously all the challenges and stuff like that. It spawned off a whole generation of shows and stuff like that. But the real world was something kind of shaped reality TV that we know of today. It's a pretty interesting topic and rabbit hole to dive down into one day. It shouldn't upset you that I'm a fan of Hurts and McKee. No, it doesn't upset me that you're a fan of them. What upsets me is you're predicting an injury. You don't even realize you're predicting an injury. Just like you think I'm predicting a Phillies negative situation, you're predicting an injury and you don't even realize it. Is making a joke about the manufactured precursor drugs from China that the Mexican cartels used to make synthetic drugs. I thought your La Costa Nostra owned the family docs. My family didn't. Somebody in my family may or may not have worked down there, but I'd rather not dive into that. The MTV show was called The Pickup Artist. Never heard of it, Duck. Never heard of it. That Puck kid was a jerk. I remember Puck. I remember him. I thought that it was an act, but it seems he was. You're not, though. The way you're phrasing it, the way you're saying it is a lot more negative than you realize. Because I don't get triggered easily. And your constant talk on it very much so upsets me. Anyway. But yeah, Real World, MTV, back in the day, it definitely was revolutionary. I have the Real World just because we got the WWE clown. Oh, yeah. That's true. The Miz was. And I remember that. I remember him being on the show. And he wanted to be a wrestler even when he was on that show. If I said we could still win a Super Bowl if our starting linebacker gets hurt, we are still in good shape. I don't know if it's great content. It's annoying content to me. I don't like being triggered. I don't like being upset. I don't like being frustrated. I like happy. I like positivity. I like being excited. I think Tanner has a better chance of getting traded than being Eagles' future quarterback. Saints might be that team. Look, I still am holding out hope that the Saints and Kellen Moore make a phone call. Jonathan, I really am. The problem is, and this actually sides with Rick to an extent, if Jalen Hurts was to get injured, if DTR and the Syracuse kid are not the answer at backup quarterback. So if you were to trade Tanner McKee, you would need to bring in another quarterback to be a backup because what we have ain't no backup quarterback, okay, outside of McKee. I'm going to express my opinion always if you feel the need to. You know I'm not going to censor you. I don't censor you, okay? I get frustrated with comments. That's what it is. Dude, your opinion matters. I'm just going to tell you I strongly, firmly disagree with your opinion on Tanner McKee. Our forefathers fought and died for Rick Barry. Look, he can say whatever he wants, and I'm going to disagree with him. That's the greatness of this show is that I'm not telling Rick he's an awful person. You go to another network anywhere, they're gonna call you an idiot, they're gonna call you whatever, or they're just gonna ignore you. Me, I'm putting every one of Rick's comments up. Why? Because his opinion matters. I just firmly disagree with it. You think it doesn't bother me with your constant negativity about Phillies, but I listen. Hey, look, it is America. We all have the right to make our own decisions. We do. See, and I'm continuing to put it up, even though I disagree. I firmly disagree. He would probably. He would definitely not be too fond of some of Rick's comments. But actually, Big Sill strikes me as a guy that probably likes Tanner McKee more than Jalen Hurts. Rick loves Jalen Hurts too, but Big Sills doesn't because Big Sills is never mind. I don't worry about name calling to or say what I mean. I got it. I agree. I appreciate you, Rick. I do. Aaron Rodgers, backup quarterback of the Eagles. That would be, I don't know what the word is to describe how I feel about that, Big Al. It's not a good word, how I feel about it. The Eagles are signing a lot of Irishmen as backup quarterbacks. McKee, McCord. It's the luck of the Irish. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. Something like that. Something like that. I don't worry about anybody. I will go nose to nose with anybody. Sills can eat it. Yeah. Well, we will agree on that. All right? Big silly man is just that, a silly man. We will definitely 100% agree that that guy is a joke. I do check out his show from time to time, but for two reasons. One, because I know some of you guys are always in his chat, and I like to see what you guys have to say. And two, I like to see what he says because it gives me great content to counterpunch, just so you know. Don't forget Double Mac. The Double Mac as well. Yeah, I don't back down from nobody either, Rick, and that's why we get along. We might not always see eye to eye, but we don't back down from our opinions, guys. That's the thing. But we do it not professionally, friendly. We do it in an easy way. We're not calling again, we got final 5 minutes, so I could bring this back up because I could just cut the show off at any point now. Obviously, lots going on social media yesterday. Fans and media with the Eagles because of the White House visit. So many people throwing so much hatred towards each other for opinions. And meaningless opinions. The same people that aren't going to stop watching the Eagles even though they're saying so much negative stuff. That's the thing with this show compared to the others. We're not going to agree. This is not the last time over the next 100 years that me and Rick aren't going to agree on a topic. It happens, but we're going to discuss it. We're going to debate it. I'm going to tell you you're wrong. You're going to tell me I'm wrong. But we're doing it in the right way. We're not out there like some of these people on Twitter yesterday calling names, threatening fights, being literally assholes to each other. What I saw out of Eagles Nation on Twitter yesterday because of the White House situation, on both sides of the White House situation, literally made me want to throw up in my mouth. Disgusting. It's killing me that I can't figure out who does. Mac McWilliams, the guy we drafted, our fourth pick that we drafted. He's UCF guy. So every Batman needs a Joker. Yeah, every Batman does need a Joker. McKee throws out the first pitch at next year's open. I love that. That's kind of funny, actually. Phil was wrong. I was wrong about Saquon Barkley, and I admit it. I do. I do. Yeah, don't get more Irish. We aren't talking about mothers and army boots. Yeah. One thing you never hear me. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I tried to even touch on it a little bit in a very, very politically correct way yesterday, and I just no. It's pathetic, Rick. And I'm sure you're not on Twitter, so you didn't see it. But I'm sure on Facebook and the Facebook social media pages, all were probably the same as Twitter. It was nauseating. And the same people that were bashing Saquon Barkley and the same people that are bashing Jalen Hurts, both for having different opinions on how to handle yesterday, are the same people that are going to be betting anytime touchdowns on both those guys. Same people that are going to cheer when Saquon Barkley breaks one for 45 yards. Same one that are going to cheer when Jalen Hurts drops a dime to A.J. Brown over the middle. The same people are going to go out and the next alternate jersey, buy all of them for all the players, whether they went to the White House or not. So hypocritical how people sound on social media. Content creators that I know will spend all season long hyping up this player or that player. But yesterday on social media saying they don't want anything to do with those people again. They don't. I cheer for the team. I cheer Midnight Green. I cheer even Kelly Green. I don't cheer the political opinions of the name on the back of the jersey. I was right on Kyle Lowry. How he is hooking Sirianni up with so much talent. Yeah. He's trying. I literally stayed away from social media yesterday. Dude, I made, when do you know me to only make 3 tweets in an entire day, Big Al? That's all I did. Mostly just golf stuff. Like, I was off of social media as well so much yesterday. Sports, music, movies, beers. Yeah, look. I love, Rick, you know what? I'm going to just side with you for the last 5 minutes on your Tanner McKee opinions just because of the N words on your thing. That's a Mitchie Poo kind of comment, but that does make me smile. Does make me laugh a little bit there. Thumbs up to that one for sure. For sure. No Kelly Green, please. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Like, I cheer for the jersey. I cheer for the team logo. I don't cheer for political or religious opinions. I don't cheer for anything like that. I'm not going to be hypocritical and say because ex-Eagles went to the White House or ex-Eagles didn't go to the White House that I'm not going to be an Eagles fan anymore. And then come week one, love them. I'm not going to be that hypocrite like other people are. And you know what? Anybody on Twitter knows that 98% of those people that were bashing one side or the other yesterday are going to be right there week one, buying new jerseys, doing all of them, having them probably already ordered a Jahad Campbell, jersey. Mitchie Poo, Y-M-C-A. Please like, share, subscribe. That's what we need. Always, always, always. Yesterday was nauseating, plain and simple. And I got opinions on it. But my platform is not for politics. I keep my personal opinions to myself, to my wife on the couch when we're talking about it. I don't put any of those public opinion or political opinions and religious opinions out there in public. Not on Twitter, not on Facebook, not anywhere. No need for it. Found one of the slave plantations my family is from. During the Revolutionary War, the British military attacked our plantation and made us fight for the British or die. It's interesting. Very interesting. But I did hear the end part where they could fight or die. I've heard of that a lot before. Opinions are like a-holes. Everybody's got one. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lagers or ales? Every beer to me, Rick, and what styles of beers I like are determined on the time. I was drinking a bunch of mango pale ales yesterday. Nice day, lighter, sitting out on the back patio after work. That's what I do. Lagers are like football. I'm a lager guy during football season. Lagers to me equal football and Christmas time. Remember when the Eagles? I do. And I got to wrap this up in 3 minutes. And Big Al, this is a big part of the whole situation. Maybe bring this up on the show tomorrow, and I'll continue this conversation. But it's the last time I had a public opinion. Everybody hated Michael Vick signing with the Eagles because of his past. And I said openly and publicly, I was not going to stop rooting for the Eagles. And I lost customers at my pizza shop because of it. I got 3 adopted dogs up there. I've adopted 4. I've had 5 dogs in the last 20 years. Obviously, I love dogs. Obviously, what Michael Vick did was wrong. But I wasn't going to stand here and be hypocritical because they signed one player. I was going to throw away 40 years of fandom. Just like Saquon Barkley going and Jalen Hurts not going, one or the other wasn't going to make me throw away 40 years of fandom last night. And some people claim it will, but then come week one, we'll be right on board again. Just like Michael Vick was hated. And then as soon as he started throwing dimes and became starship number 7, it was all good. Politics and religion is a personal thing and should stay that way. They are not sports, and the second you treat them like sports, absolutely. Al's all day, baby. Depends on the time of year. Aaron Rodgers or politics. Well, I hate them both. Nice mango pale is such a great warm weather beer. You know what? My wife said we had it before. We picked it up, 12-pack of it. I didn't think we had it. I don't think we had it, but it was very delicious. I drank a lot of them this weekend. Yeah. Anyway, guys, it's time to wrap this up. Fun day. Interesting day. We'll be back tomorrow. More Eagles talk. Haven't really given a grade. We'll really dive into, the power rankings of the NFC East after the draft and where they are. Whichever one I was drinking yesterday, Rick or Duck, I have to look it up. I don't remember the brand name on it, but it was very, very good. I'll look up the brand name after the show and try to have it for tomorrow if I remember. It was a fun show. Some gives, some takes, some yelling, some screaming, some love, some everything. We'll be back tomorrow. We got lots to talk about this week, and obviously the Phillies will be back in the conversation as well tomorrow. But guys, don't forget tonight, 6 p.m., Fairway to Heaven, right here on this channel. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit that share button. Make sure you subscribe. We're back tomorrow with more great content, guys. Go Birds! What was up?